It's time to start my first high school reread. So in high school, I read a lot of books. It was kind of the start of me getting back into reading. And so a lot of the books I picked up were books that other people had read at a younger time, but that didn't make me like them any less. So one of the books I picked up and absolutely loved, in case you haven't noticed it already, The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I devoured these books in the later years of my high school. I don't remember if I was a sophomore, junior, or senior, but it was definitely like later half of high school, and I loved them. I think I rated all 3 books 5 stars. Freaking loved them. This is not my copy from them. I actually read the first one digitally, and then I borrowed the next 2 from a friend and returned them. So I got this one from the thrift store for $2.50, which is kind of a lot when the cover's ripped, but whatever. If you don't know what this book is about, it is about a boy who shows up in this maze, this glade in the middle of this maze. I'm not describing this well. It's about a boy who shows up in the middle of this glade, which is in the very center of this maze, and he is brought up into this society of just all these teenage boys, and none of them have any memories from before they came up into this glade except for what their first names are. And so every morning the maze opens up and some of the boys run out into the maze, and every night it closes. And if you get stuck out there on the other side of the maze, you die. There's no hope for you because there's these awful things inside the maze, which I won't ruin in case you haven't read the book. But basically the boys have thought that if they can get far enough into the maze, that there might be a way out on the other side. We follow Thomas, that's the main boy, and there's some weird suspicious stuff around Thomas because shortly after he comes up in the maze, it might be the next day, a girl comes up, and she's the first girl, and then after her there's a note or something that lets the people know that there'll be no more people, no more shipments coming up into this glade. So they are basically on their own forever. I love it. It's definitely spookier than a lot of other books that I had read at this time. I remember reading the sequel and being scared, like legitimately scared, and I can't remember ever at this time being scared in any other book I had read. I also remember it just being generally dark, and while it is a YA dystopian, I think that one of the things that I was drawn to in it was its darkness. Right now, I'm already having a little bit of an iffy time. I'm only in chapter 4, and some of the language is just off. Beyond the fact that the author kind of reinvented English because, these boys are stuck in this maze for, I think some of them have been there years. I can't totally remember. So they've kind of come up with cutesy little nicknames for certain things. I can get past that. What I can't get past is one of the boys is like, oh, stop crying like a little girl. We really need you to man up. And stuff like that, where it's like, we still use that language today, but it's just not helpful and not beneficial language, honestly. Other than that, I really am not far enough into the book to say anything about it, whether or not I'm enjoying it or not, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I did the first time. I think once I get to the part where stuff is actually happening and Thomas is actually starting to run the maze himself, I'll be way more into it than I am right now, because right now nothing has happened. Like, Thomas is still confused and it's been like 10 minutes for him in this world. I will check back in with you once I have more to say about this book. Also, actually, before I leave, I had the biggest crush on Minnow when I read these books and watched the movies, because that is an attractive man. And Newt also, not what I thought he would be when I saw the movie, but I love his character and I think he's so great. I also kind of like Gally, but that's a different story. One really odd fun fact about The Maze Runner is I actually saw the movie before I read the book, and I, because of that, appreciate both of them separate from each other. I think that the movie did a lot of really effective things that the book didn't do, and I think if I had read the book first, I wouldn't be able to appreciate some of those things as much as I do because I didn't get to experience the book before the movie. Now, saying that, I am approximately 50% through The Maze Runner, and I'm struggling still. There have been some really good moments that I've been enjoying, specifically when Thomas first goes out into the maze. But other than that, the whole entire, like, him starting to acclimate into this society, I'm just like, I'm bored and I don't care. And it's slow. I'm gonna finish the book. There was a split moment earlier. There was definitely a moment earlier where I was considering DNFing it, and I'm like, I've already read it, so who cares if I DNF it the second time? But I really want to be able to talk to you guys about this book for this video, and I don't think I can fairly do that without at least giving it a good shot. I'm gonna be finishing it, and now I'm at the 50% mark, so I think finishing it is a lot easier of a goal to accomplish. And also, I was kind of wanting to read it all in one day, and I just don't think that this is the right book to marathon like that. I marathon books all the time, and this is one that it's just so slow. But I understand to a point that some of the stuff has to be built up for the later books, but I also think that some of the stuff, since I've read later books and I know kind of what happens, some of the stuff in this first one is really illogical. And so when I compile this book in the end, it's going to get low ratings on logic and it's going to get low ratings on writing. And I even think characters are going to be kind of probably around the 6 to 7 range. Like, I really like the side characters, but I kind of cannot stand Thomas, like, at all. And I think that a lot of the stuff that would bring the logic down for me is, like, he keeps asking these people questions and they keep ignoring him. And I'm like, I know that the author, that's what they're called, did this because he couldn't give us all of the information as the reader, but it seems really dumb that this society of boys so, like, brushes off Thomas's questions and, like, will not answer them and even goes out of their way to not answer them. And then there's even these moments where Thomas is talking about Chuck and he sees how other people are treating the boy and he's like, wow, I wish they'd be nicer to Chuck. And then Chuck is helping him or is trying to help him acclimate or is being friendly with him, and Thomas does the same exact things where he, like, belittles Chuck and doesn't do nice things to him. And I'm like, that's so dumb, because Thomas is actively thinking, oh, I wish someone would be nice to Chuck, and then he goes and does the same exact shit. So I have some issues with the book that I didn't have the first time. I'm also just kind of not enjoying the fact that there are no women. Where I'm at, Teresa is still asleep. And even when she wakes up, let's be honest, I can't stand Teresa. I think she's annoying. I think she's dumb. I wish she wasn't in the book. I'm having a hard time, like I said, because there are no women. And I think that this book is really good because of its thrilling aspects, and I loved it because of those thrilling aspects, but there's not anything else pulling me into this story right now, and I'm sad about that. I'm gonna continue on with it though, and I will let you know how the second 50% goes. Hello! So today I finished listening to The Maze Runner by James Dashner. Like I said earlier, I read this book in high school and I loved it in high school, and I think that there are many great qualities of this book, but I didn't love it this time. I think, first off, I'm in a mood right now. I'm currently, I know this video isn't posted at the time, but as of me filming it, working my way through Bookopalathon, and I'm kind of frustrated with some of the books that I am currently reading. So I think that maybe if I had read this book when I had more time to digest it, I would have enjoyed it more. But I found the characters kind of annoying. Not all of them. Specifically, Thomas was really annoying, and how Thomas viewed other people was annoying. Like, I didn't find the other characters annoying. I found Thomas talking about them to be annoying, if that makes sense. The atmosphere was fine. I really loved the more thrilling aspects of the book when they're actually, like, running for their lives or worried about being destroyed by these monsters that are coming from them. Those were great moments. But the other times where they're just kind of sitting around the glade, picking tomatoes, doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, or even the times when they're, like, trying to figure out puzzles, I just didn't care. And I do think that goes back to me just being in a mood right now. The writing wasn't anything super spectacular. The plot wasn't great. I think that it was pretty straightforward, and that I actually think I like the plot of the movie a little bit better because they do differ in a few key areas, and I think the movie just did stuff at a faster pace because movies have a time limit whereas books don't have a page limit, and books also have to write out all of the different descriptions and everything that you're seeing, whereas in a movie you take a 5-second pan and you get the idea, you get the mood from the music, you get the idea of everything really quickly, and so movies can be a lot faster. So that's just kind of my complaint with the plot. I think I would reread this again. I am really curious to know if this was just kind of me being in a mood or if this was me actually realizing that this book wasn't as great as I thought it used to be. I still think this is a good book, and I'm having a hard time putting a rating on it because I want to rate it higher than this one experience, but at the same time I think back on my reading enjoyment of this book this time and it wasn't high. And I do think part of that is because of the narrator. I really did not like the man who narrated this book. He was just monotone and flat, and honestly it kind of reminded me of when you put in a bunch of text into Google and you ask like Google to read it back to you, and it's one of the robots going like this. I didn't love it. That could have also been a big issue with me not enjoying this book. So I'm going to be giving my copy back to the thrift store because that's where I bought it from, because I do own it on my Kindle and that's how I read it the first time. And if I ever do read it again, I think that would be the way for me to go in the future. So I put on Goodreads that I always write in the reviews what I rate books every single time I read them. So I wrote in the reviews that I rated the book 5 stars the first time, and that in my second read I'm rating it 3.5 stars, but I'm rounding it up to 4 because I just feel like it deserves a 4. I'm just being moody right now and not giving it a 4. I would say that upon reread again in the future, I think I might give this book a 4, but as of right now, it's not getting it. I'd also be really curious to rewatch the movie now that I've read this book again, but I think that this time, now that I've seen the movie and read the book, and I was rereading the book and I've never rewatched the movie, I just think that I was expecting things to be more like the movie was, and I think I was let down because of those expectations. This is a great shot. Thank you for appreciating it. Ignore my computer, it's not important. Anyways, for this video, I was supposed to read 2 books that I read in high school, and I never made it around to reading the second one. I moved, switched jobs. You've heard the story if you've been on my channel for more than 5 minutes. My life is just too crazy and too hectic, and I'm not gonna be able to read the second one. Okay, I'm closing this shit. I'm not gonna be able to read the second one, unfortunately. You're just getting 1 book for this video, and I apologize if you are expecting a lot more, but this is what it is. Just in case you were curious, the other book I was going to read was Uglies by James Patterson. Westerfeld. Scott Westerfeld. I think I will read that at some point in my life, or reread it, but just not for this video. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. Let me know down below if you've ever read The Maze Runner. I'd be really curious to talk to you about it more. But until next time, I don't remember how my outro goes, but I will talk to you in the comments. Bye!